Hello everyone. Hope you can hear me all fine and well. I'm set up in my new flat now, as you can see by the surroundings here. Taking me a lot of time, obviously. That's why I've been pretty quiet across Facebook. I've been really busy moving flat. But I'm settling in now, so should get more of these videos going soon. I thought we'd do a video as well. Obviously, we've got a small event coming up next week in Boreham Wood for anyone who's wanting to attend. That's the last goodbye event. Obviously, I'll be there leading the walking tours that will be going on. So anybody who wants to come along, they can still organise and ask about tickets to Craig Rich. He's the one to contact across the Facebook pages that are on, if anyone's on Facebook as well. And just contact him and ask about tickets. Still tickets available. Obviously, we wanted to do a bigger scale event, but obviously it all depended on the amount of people who came forward to buy tickets. The more money that you've got to put on an event can allow you to be more lavish, have a venue, have your some celebrities there and such like. But as has been the way in the last few years with on the buses events, you don't really get that number of people coming forward to enable you to put on those events on that sort of a scale. But there'll still be a great weekend. I'm sure I'll be down there from Friday, probably doing some videos, and then obviously doing the events, walking tours on the Saturday and the Sunday. That'll start from outside LSD Studios at 11:30 in the morning. So if anyone's wanting to come along who hasn't got a ticket yet, as I said, then contact Craig Rich, or just pop up the email address to email him about tickets, which I've got down here somewhere, just for you if you're interested in tickets. I'll just put that link up here just now. Let's see. Let's see there. So this, as I say, I know that the last time I spoke to you on the live chat, I was hoping on doing a walking tour sometime in the autumn time. Obviously, with all that's come about with my move and all of that, that's had to be put back. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good, Jason. Anyone's got any questions, just post up their messages. Anything to do with on the buses, and I'll answer them. Quite a lot's happened in the last time that I was online. Obviously, there's the move that I've done and such like. I've also got myself, which is really interesting, as a 3D printer. So I'm working on the premise of maybe printing off some on the buses stuff and selling them online on this channel. For example, you can do yourself real good bust shots. There's one there of Jack. From on the buses. That's just one that I was doing. The other things like the YouTube logo, I've already printed that off as well, and it comes out real great quality there. If you see what I mean, stuff like that I've done. Obviously, I've done one for myself just as a practice. So there's a bust of me as well, which you can see how good the quality of it and how lifelike it comes out. It's really great. So given time and such like, I'll hope to put some of them up on this channel to sell another on the buses stuff as well, which would be good. But obviously I've got to get to know the workings and how to create the models and such like, and hopefully that will happen in the next in the coming months. Also in the coming months, it's not far that I've moved from where I was. It's maybe about a quarter of a mile away from where I was before. So what I'm hoping as well, obviously in the next maybe month or so, I'll start running through the filming locations on my Facebook channel. So anyone who's on the Facebook channel, the On the Buses filming locations now and then group, we go through every filming location. So I should be in a position to start that maybe in about a month's time, hopefully. Around like December, we'll start that, running through every single known filming locations from Series 1 through Series 7 to Series 7, and then the 3 spin-off films. So that'll be done as well. So if you've got any questions to do with On the Buses just now, I'll answer them for you when I see them on the screen there, which will be great. For anyone who's here for the first time, we might have just sort of like stumbled across it and all of that, and wonder like about my background. Like I've written On the Buses books. The first one I've done was there, On the Buses, the complete story. Then after that, it was On the Buses quiz book, and then came an A to Z of On the Buses, and then came finally On the Buses, the filming locations. Obviously, I've been involved in all of the On the Buses events from the start of them in 2008, and planned them like through my On the Buses forum. That was my brainchild, and then ran through all of those events up until I think the last one we done was 2023 was a Holiday on the Buses event, but of course, sadly, the holiday camp's closed now. Some good news anyway to send. I don't know if anyone knows that anyway. Like since I last spoke to you, there was talk that we're going to knock down 3 stages at Elstree Studios due to them being built with RAC, which is a reinforced aluminium concrete sort of stuff. That's not going to happen now. They're able to save them, which is really great, because there's right where those 3 stages, there's a side corridor where they actually filmed the scenes from Holiday on the Buses. The corridor scenes where you see what Olive following a man in a kilt, and you also see Stan talking to the family on their phone. That corridor there, that would have been obviously hallmarked for demolition as well, but thankfully that's been saved now. So at least that little part of the filming locations will be preserved, which is good to hear. Also in Boreham Wood as well, sadly, this is more on the way of sad news, Neptune House, which is in the other studio complex in Elstree, not the one where they made the films, but they did actually sort of like position a camera on top of Neptune House to film the opening and closing scenes from Mutiny on the Buses. When you see the bus, the camera looks right down and across, pans over towards 2 buses parked. That was Neptune House that the camera was sitting on top of. Unfortunately, that's been demolished now in the last few weeks. They've started the demolition of the site, and they're transforming the BBC Elstree Studios, where the EastEnders is made. That's being transformed into our film studio, which is, I think it's going to be called the Douglas Fairbanks Studios. I think I'm right in saying. So that's interesting. Obviously, sad that a part of that was famous for On the Buses has sort of been extinguished, if you want, erased from history. But there you go. So you know what to do. Any questions at all, just ask them up there and I'll answer them for you as soon as I see them on the screen. It can be anything to do with my walking tours, my books, On the Buses in general, the cast, the crew, filming locations, the events that are organised, the walking tours I organise, anything like that. Just ask a question, I'll answer them for you. I will be hoping to get more videos up and on the channel again soon, On the Buses, filming locations, videos and such like. So watch a space. now that I'm settled, beginning to settle a bit, then hopefully we'll get them going again soon. So anyone that's joining in as well, you'll see the first message that I posted up on the left of the screen there, on the right of the screen, that email address. That's for anyone who's interested in attending the On the Buses get together next weekend, the last goodbye event, which is going on in Boreham Wood, home of the 3 spin-off films. So just post all your messages up, any questions that you've got, then I'll answer them for you as soon as I see them on the screen. And obviously, if you are coming along, you've got tickets already for next weekend. If you're bringing a car, then that will be great, because we get enough cars and we'll be able to go further afield to other locations as well. If that's what floats your boat, obviously, because there will be walking tour on the Saturday and then another on the Sunday as well. Bring along, by all means, as well, if you are coming and you've got anything that you want signed, any of my books, then I'm happy to sign them for you at the event as well. It was interesting earlier on as well. I was watching an episode of Are You Being Served, and up popped Jennifer Guy, who obviously was in the football match episode of On the Buses. It's always good to see people that are on the buses and other roles as well. Now, I'm actually binge watching Are You Being Served off of our newly inputted Skybox, and well, maybe it was about from the series before, Terry Duggan, who of course was married to Anna Karen, cropped up in an episode as well. And of course, Wendy Richards, of course, from On the Buses. So you know what to do. Just post up any of your questions. If you've got any questions at all, I'll answer any questions that you've got about On the Buses, the film locations, anything to do with the cast and crew and such like. It was also interesting. I was watching something the other day there. What was it? And one of the buses that they actually used in On the Buses actually cropped up in something that I was watching. Just trying to think what it was now. I can't remember now, but I remember seeing it, and the license plate on the bus. It was the bus old 666 that gets bumped down in there. No smoke without fire. That was that bus that showed up. I can't remember exactly what the TV show was. Just trying to think now what it was, but obviously they were using the bus for TV work and all of that just before, up to the point when it got scrapped. Obviously, I retired from service, so they were able to hire it out for obviously TV filming purposes. And when I do this run through on Facebook of the filming locations, I'm not sure. I think there'll be about another 50 new locations added onto it. So they'll be up pushing up. That will take the number up to around about nearing the 800 barrier, the 800 mark of filming locations. The other things as well, you see behind me over on the left, that's my display cabinet. You'll see there, that's got a lot of things from TV and film. There's on the buses one there. You'll see it here. When I was putting it back together and putting everything in here, there's a little bit sort of like bittersweet it was. Oops, didn't put it in far enough, did it well enough. If you have a look here, it was a little bit bittersweet really, because I've got things in here that was coming across from such like, and are all pretty sad when you look at them now, which is like that was when Ronnie Wolf was at the BAFTAs. We had a shoot there. He was talking about his book and all of that. That was like, but this was like from when he passed away. When he passed, there's a whole load of stuff in there of interest. And also as well, that was from Stephen Lewis's funeral, which I attended, which is sad. That was for his service there. And that was Anna's service as well. All pretty sad seeing them now, to think that they're no longer with us. That was actually from Ronnie Wolf's BAFTA event, sorry, not his funeral. That was, he had a BAFTA event celebrating his work and all of that. That would be in 2012, I think it was. But we'll go around and sort that out a little bit better than what it actually is. Dear John wasn't bad. I wouldn't go crazy about it though. It wasn't really my sort of thing. It was okay. I've seen worse sitcoms, put it that way. That was John Sullivan's sitcom, wasn't it? So if you want to post up any questions about on the buses, then feel free to go ahead and do so. As for the next actual standalone walking tour, so not connected with next weekend's event, the one after that will probably come now. I would say it'll probably be in the spring of next year. It's not really a wise thing to do it in the winter months. I've tried it once before, I think in January, was it? Late January. And it was really, it was at a time when we just had snowfall. I think it was in Borehamwood. I had that walking tour, and the roads were really pretty, like covered in ice, slush, and such like. So it's not really sort of like a thing that we do again. Probably more likely, as I say, in the springtime when the weather starts to get a little bit milder and we don't really have so much of a threat of snow and things to hinder us. Yeah, there are new ones that I know. I've already sort of like nailed them down that I've not had the time to get to yet because they're very difficult to get to. There's ones that we see in the episode on the omnibuses, which was filmed largely out in just east of Haywards Heath down in East Sussex. So those ones I need to get to photograph, but it's really a hard show getting there. You've got to get to London and then catch a train from, I think it's Waterloo. The trains go from a train from Waterloo that's going down to Brighton and get off at Haywards Heath, and then it's a sort of like a bus journey and a walk to the country locations. It's right out in the middle of nowhere, and there's no hotels to stay around nearby. The nearest hotels that you would get are in Haywards Heath, I would say, in that area. So it is really tricky getting there, but I will get there one day. I can guarantee you that. Obviously, there's one or two other ones. Obviously, I want to try and get up to Wood Green again and maybe get some updated ones, because there is one or two changes up in Wood Green next to where the bus depot was. The bingo hall that used to be there, it wasn't there, obviously, when on the buses from there. It was an old row of Georgian Victorian houses, which got knocked down and replaced by a bingo hall. But apparently the bingo hall's now got knocked down, and there's a small block of flats that's getting built on that land, I do believe. So that's obviously a change of scenery up there now. So I'll need to try and get up there and get any updated photographs of that. There are one or two other new locations as well, extra locations, but I will get round to getting them. It's just that I haven't been able to do it just lately because I've had a lot going on with my move and all of that. In terms of ones that are locations that haven't been found yet, obviously there's one or two in the episode, Nowhere to Go. I recently found the ones in the first part of it where the motorbike crashes and you see the olives lying prone and a water bottle's bust and Arthur's head's in a ditch. I found where that is. Where the preceding ones where you see a wheel rolling past you see the motorbike first of all heading to its crash, coming down a sort of like a hill and along a country lane. I do believe that's just north of where the other locations were, but that area has changed quite a bit. But I can't say with 100% certainty that that's where it is, so that might remain a mystery, those locations. And obviously, I want to try and get to a couple of the locations from inside the Legoland, which was a safari park, for various angles that you see St Leonard's House, which is a grand stately building that's on the still on the grounds there. Try and get photographs of that to match up with the shots that you see it in the background and Mutiny on the Buses. My favourite film, and favourite films probably is, I would say it's the first one. A lot of people will say, well, why not the last one? Because generally the fans will always go for Holiday on the Buses. But for me, Holiday on the Buses was just tends with a bit of sadness, knowing it was the last time the crew ever worked together again. Don't get me wrong, it's a really great film in terms of humour-wise, and nothing wrong with it there, but it's just tinged with that little bit of sadness. Whereas the first film, I really love the soundtrack for that as well. It's Great Life on the Buses and all of that. And it's a good storyline. It's where I believe it Fried Most on the Buses was actually set in the bus depot. Whereas Holiday on the Buses, again, wasn't really in the depot. It was our holiday camp. So that's why I would say the first film over Holiday on the Buses. So if you've got any more questions, just keep them coming in and I'll answer them for as soon as I see them. Question I often get asked as well that keeps coming up is like, am I going to do an updated version of the book? It's just a little bit really difficult to do, because if you look how big that the first edition is, the first edition only had 230, I think it is, 200 and how many locations in it? Yeah, just over 200 locations in it, and look how thick it is. Whereas today, we know of there's 800, nearly 800 locations, so it'll be 4 times as thick as that. And to put this book together, it was really expensive in terms of the amount of photographs there was in it. So I think the costs of putting it together would be 4 times as expensive. And then that again ramps up the production costs for it. And then that again in turn ramps up the recommended retail price. And it would just basically price it right out of the market. I think a book with upwards of 800 film location, well, it'd actually be 1,600 film location pictures, because obviously you'd have nearly 800 different film locations ones, and then on top of that you've got the now and then, so it's 2 per location. Yeah, remember Only When I Laugh, yeah. Or somebody that I watch who reacts to, an American who reacts to them on YouTube. He also reacts to On the Buses episodes. What's his name? I'll see if I can send you a link to him for anyone who's interested. You'll see me. I comment sometimes on his I comment on his videos when he covers On the Buses. This is his channel there, so if you feel free, he reacts to a lot of British comedies. That's his channel there. He's done, I think he also does Ain't I Thought Mum at the moment, and I know he's doing Only When I Laugh and On the Buses. In the past, he's done Still Game. I think he's done Porridge. I think he's done Good Night, Sweetheart. He might have done, but he's done a lot anyways. Well worth, and he gets the gist of American, of the British comedies and all of that. Oh. Okay, so keep your questions coming in. I'll answer them for you when I see them on the screen. Yeah, it's unfortunate, I know, but I suppose he's got reaction channels will listen to whatever somebody tells them to react to. Like, you might have had 2 or 3 people tell him that it's absolutely brilliant, and then obviously he doesn't know what it's like, so he will say, all right, I'm going to have a look at it. Like, so just the way it is, isn't it, really? Just say for the other things that I printed off as well, that was your own little benchy thing. And it's really amazing, the quality. I mean, I used to have a 3D printer years ago, and printed a whole load of stuff off, some lithophane of On the Buses and all of that. But the quality between those machines and this machine is like night and day. It really is. And the ease of use of it, stuff like that you can print off, little panda bears that wiggle about and all that. It's there's a Christmas Duty episode, and there's also Boxing Day Social that's got a sort of like a Christmas theme to it. So there's really, technically speaking, there's 2 Christmas episodes that have got true Christmas sort of like humour into it. That's Christmas Duty and the Boxing Day Social. in terms of full length episodes, of course, you do have the two which have been wiped that were part of the ITV Christmas Carnival. They used to have, and they used to do little 5-minute skits of sitcoms, used to provide skits for it. But the two on the buses ones, they ceased to exist. They've been robbed, unfortunately. So just remember, keep your questions coming in about on the buses. I'll answer them here as soon as I see them on the screen. Oh, there was quite a lot that ITV wiped, Ollie, to be fair. I mean, they wiped a lot of the Comedy Playhouse, like I think that would have been the Milko, that got wiped, which was part of, I think, the Comedy Playhouse. Did they wipe? I think, I'm not sure if I got, no, because I think Down the Gate, I think that actually came out an actual bona fide DVD. But I'm sure they wiped stuff like the Journey Unto the Unknown, because I had to get pirated copies from somewhere, or at least they haven't brought them out on DVD if they have got them. And obviously, but there are stuff they do wipe, like BBC obviously wipe them as even more, but some of the times they do crop up somewhere or other in somebody's loft, because I know the Likely Lads, a couple of 2 or 3 of those episodes cropped up somewhere, and I think they've re-released them in a new box set. I'm not sure how many it was from the actual original series. I think it was about 3 or 4 episodes just recently turned up of the Likely Lads, and they put them all together and put them out on a new box set, which is good. But it's not good for those that have already got the box set. If you see what I'm saying, it's annoying, really. It's like Still Game. Still Game came out and they done 5 series, I think, initially. 5 or 6 series, and then they brought out the box set, and then they didn't do any episodes for a few years, and then it came back again. Hi, Anthony. It came back again, and it was then they done another 3 series, and then they brought out a full complete box set, then, which is people that bought maybe the first 5 series and think they've got the whole box set, and then more comes out, then they've got to shell out again for them, really, I suppose, which is unfortunate. It's just the way it goes, I suppose. But it does show that there is sort of like still out there somewhere, if you look around, like I mentioned, they're Still Game. For me, that's my favourite sitcom of the modern era, that's even overtaken Only Fools and Horses in terms of how good it is, basically. And that was sort of like that's like the 21st century sitcom. So, and it does use non-PC humor in it as well. So it's possible to get away with that sort of stuff even in today's day and age if you've got the bottle to do it, sort of thing. Now, it's not something that I've ever really got into, to tell the truth, Ollie. The only sitcoms that I've really watched, and no, I would say definitely not Adam. There's just not how I got to say it, a market, and plus the cost that we cost to put them all into Blu-ray. There's just not really and when you think how many there's 72 episodes that you would all need putting on upscaling for Blu-ray and such like. There's just not really a market for that. I say that because there wasn't even a sort of like any enthusiasm for when myself and Rich, we went to the rights holders for the On the Buses films. This was a few years ago when Anna was still with us and could have contributed some really cracking commentaries, I would imagine. There just wasn't really any interest in doing it. And that was around the time of the 50th anniversary of the film. So that would be like we're talking about 2-3 years ago. So if they're not willing to do a really prime time like that, to celebrate 50th anniversary, I don't think there's any hope of doing it. Yeah, of course he did. The whole cast got on well together. All this nonsense that keeps getting resurfaced by people who seem to crave a bit of animosity. I was just barking up the wrong tree there. I've got interviews and they're on this channel here, and Bob even says that I think this was one from the late 70s, early 80s, where he says that he spoke to Reg on the phone every week, once a week. So he was still in touch with him, even sort of like 5 to 10 years after On the Buses had ended. Yeah, James, I'm not doing too badly, thanks. Feel better now that I've sorted out got myself a new flat and everything like that, and settling in here. So that's a big plus point, obviously. I think in one of those interviews, Adam, Bob does say that he wouldn't mind working with Reg again at some point in the future, when he done that interview there, which didn't obviously sadly happen. Nearly did. We're back on the buses, of course, but that didn't come to fruition either. Adam, no, they didn't. They didn't do any stage shows as such. They did do ones where the cast was sort of like 2 or 3 of the cast sort of like were in stage shows together. I think one was Stop It Nurse, which had Bob, Stephen, and Anna in it, which was like a stage show. That was when I think On the Buses might have just been still running, maybe in 1972. And then obviously there was the On the Buses A Fresh Start, which was in Canada. They went to Canada, and that was Michael Robbins was in that, Anna Karen and Doris Eyre was in that. That was early 1980s. But not one as such, all based around On the Buses. The Canadian one was all about where Mum, Olive, and Arthur moved to Canada. No, unfortunately, I didn't, Ollie. I did meet Hal Dyer, his wife. She was really lovely at my book launch event for my first book in 2009. I did meet Hal. She was lovely. I had a lovely chat with her for a good time in the adjacent pub for a bit. That was really great. But I didn't meet Michael, unfortunately. I've met his son and daughter, I think, a couple of times as well. No, Reg wasn't. No, definitely not. You might be thinking he went down under and done a one-man show in Australia, but it definitely wasn't on the buses related. He maybe probably talked about on the buses and such like on stage, but it wasn't any sort of a on the buses stage show. That would have been in the early 1980s. Nah, I wouldn't say it was the best episode. I think your best episodes, if you're compiling a top 10, about 75% of them probably come out of Series 3. If you were to compile a top 10, like you've got Brew It Yourself, you've got Foggy Night, you've got The System, you've got a heck of a lot of the used combination episodes like that. The one with the squeeze where the motorbike breaks down. You've got Busman's Perks. You've got so many in there. You've got the Snake, which probably wouldn't make it into the top 10. In terms of, because that was a Series 4 episode, was it not? Series 5. If you're looking at ones that didn't come in Series 3 in terms of the really top episodes, I really like the used combination in Series 2, or failing that in Series 4. There was another one that was like Busman's Perks, but that was like with the material with the seats, which was a Series 4 episode as well. But most of the top 10 episodes all come out of the Series 3, because that was the golden series of On the Buses. Yeah, I've got the box set that it came with. They don't drink the water. 2 series of it. So that was good when I got the box set. I think I got the Ultimate Edition box set. Unfortunately, I think my Series 7 DVD had a slight, over the time, it got a slight crack in it. So I've had to revert to using the Series 7 DVD from the earlier box set that I had. Oh yeah, definitely. It was quite clearly, it really was the best episode, the best series. Series 2 was the one where it was starting to really, you could see it really picking up momentum from Series 1. Series 2 had a lot of really good episodes. I like Aunt Maud's a really good episode as well, and Series 2. And Bus Driver's Stomach is a really good episode from Series 2. And Family Flu. So there's a lot of really good episodes in Series 2 as well. Series 4 is a bit more sort of like patchier, just like Series 5, as in not so many real highest quality episodes. yeah. There's lots of episodes there that are obviously well worth the watch, definitely. And later thing is like even when you get down to like your Series 6, you've got No Smoke Without Fire. Series 7, Hot Water's still quite a decent episode as well. And I really like The Allowance as well, which is in Series 7. So they were still cranking out your really good episodes, even as it was drawn to its close, which I suppose explains why like LWT actually wanted to commission our 8th series, but they cast had all had enough. They decided to call time on it. So just keep your comments, your questions coming in. I'll answer them as soon as I see them on the screen. Well, we'll still, as I said earlier, there'll still be walking tours and such like. Yeah, they'll be on the buses, walking tours. I'll still be organising them. Obviously, doing videos as well, which will come up on this channel. I'll visit more locations, do more walkabouts and such like. They'll still be happening as well. So, still plenty going on. Be visiting locations, photograph them to add to my collection, which is the biggest in the world of on the buses filming locations. So yeah, it's not the end of anything by any means. Oh yeah, obviously. I mean, the if you take anybody chief character out of any sitcom, then it's going to suffer. If David Jason or Nicholas Lyndhurst had have left Only Fools and Horses halfway through it, you would have noticed a big drop off in terms of quality and all of that. When the sitcom is built on such strengths of its cast and how well it gels together, when you start removing key members, that's when things will start to fall apart. But really, it all started. Really, it's sort of like at the end of Series 4, they lost the best producer, which was Stuart Allen. Wrongfully, Rupert Murdoch, who was the head of LWT, sacked Stuart Allen because Stuart Allen told them truths that you could only. Rupert Murdoch wanted them to do 2 episodes of On the Buses a week. Stuart Allen said it's not possible, so he sacked him, which was absolutely pointless because it still ended up only being 1 episode a week anyway that they made. So Stuart Allen was totally in the right, really. And so that was one loss that they struggled through, losing Stuart Allen. And then towards the end of Series 5, the writers, Ronnie Wolf and Ronnie Chesney, moved to work in the States for a while. So that was another loss that they had. And then Series 6, at the end of that, you had the loss of Michael Robbins. So it was just an accumulative effect. And then halfway through Series 7, they lost Reg Varney, really. That's why I say the cast. Then at the end of Series 7, they saw the writing on the wall then with all the losses that they had to put up with and decided to call it quits when they did at the end of Series 7. I think in one of the interviews, it's Bob says it. He says we wanted to quit at the time when it was still at the top, basically, and not people switching off saying, "Oh, not this old rubbish again," switching off when On the Buses started, really. So that's why I decided to call time on it. Worst episode is probably The Visit. That's the one with Blakey's mum in it. Or failing that, but Reg is still in it, so I would probably hold back in calling it one of the worst, but it does great a bit as the one with Olive's divorce, because she's crying all the time, really. But it does sort of like the whole game, hold out for the location shooting and all of that for Olive's divorce. But I would probably have to say The Visit. That's the one with Blakey's mum, who was really nasty in it, and I didn't get the humour from having such a nasty character in it. Nasty characters don't really sort of like bring much in terms of humour for me. So for me, I would definitely say The Visit. So just keep your questions coming in. I'll answer them for you as soon as I see them on the screen. Well, the cast have all gone their own separate ways by that time as well. I mean, so you wouldn't really have had Michael Robbins in it. So again, you would just still come back to the same problem of losing key elements from it. So it would never really have been the same. The only way really of coming about it would have been if they had all agreed to come back to do Christmas specials, which I don't really see as sort of like working for me. It's just like I wouldn't really have seen the Back on the Buses working either. The only benefits I would have seen out of Back on the Buses is it might have given Bob a little bit of a boost to his morale and his career, if you see what I'm saying. But I don't really see. I think they left it maybe 10 years too late to revive On the Buses. The time to do it would have probably been maybe the late 70s, early 80s. I think 1992 was it. They were talking about reviving it. It was just 10 years too late for me. It was shown by that the plan would have been to bring in kids as well into it, which for me, it's not something that really works all that well as well. Bringing a kids into a familiar environment just doesn't work. If you ever look at Only Fools and Horses with Damien, and the whole sort of like dynamics were spoiled when Damien came into the Trotter house, and all of that just didn't really work for me. And that would have been what they would have had to have done with On the Buses. Obviously, the cast then by that time were a good deal older, so they would have been relying on bringing in the right sort of younger cast, learning how to give them the laughs to take the weight off of the likes of Reg and Michael and Bob and all of that. So you would have been detracting from their screen time as well. That's all the reasons why I wouldn't really have seen it working myself. I will hope to. So if you watch out for that as well, I will hope to at some point when I'm down there, maybe on the Friday, do a live video from Boreham Wood. Give you an update of the Neptune House being demolished and such like. If I can get an angle where you can actually see that, stuff like that, and I'll give you a quick walk around, and you'll be able to see what's what at the moment in Boreham Wood. Hi, Anfield Views. Nah, not for me. It's AI is good in all its own ways and all of that, but when it gets into plagiarizing other people's work, it's not the dumb thing to do. It's like a lot of your musicians are absolutely up in arms about this because AI's plagiarizing a lot of their work and songs and all of that, which is just a big no-no. It's somebody with a bit of technical knowledge and all of that, using other people's work for their own benefit, which I don't really buy into. One or two are, but obviously they're a great age. Stuart Allen sadly passed away about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago, maybe. Stuart Allen passed. The writers have passed. I do believe Derek Goodwin might very well be with us, who took over as our producer. Brian Hazard, who was a later producer and produced Holiday on the Buses, he's passed. I do believe there's it was Alan Hunter Craig, who was like a set designer. He is still with us, but he moved out and moved on to being like our actual architect, sort of designing houses and all that, which would sort of like make sense when you go from designing sets and all that to designing actual houses and stuff. But you've got what you've got to remember is, Adam, is that you're talking about people who would have been in the, probably at the youngest would have been in the 20s or 30s when On the Buses was on the telly. So even now, and that is sort of like maybe they'd probably be more likely been in their 40s or something to be in a position of such height to have those sorts of jobs. So that would make them in the 90s now. So it's sort of like you're getting to the realms where it's sort of like you're asking a lot for people to still be with us, really, in terms of that, such as the passage of time since On the Buses ended. Well, the answer to that is, Anfield, is you've just got to separate the TV series from the films. The TV series was owned by London Weekend, yeah? So they had the rights to all the scripts and the storylines and the plots and series, the Luxton and District. That's why the buses are different from the films. The films were owned by Hammer. Hammer got in touch with the writers and said, "Do you who owns the rights?" They were looking to start making films from hit sitcoms of the time. They got in touch with Ronnie Wolf and Ronnie Chesney and asked them who owned the rights, and they said, "Well, we do actually," which they did for the characters and all of that. So that allowed Hammer to make the films, but LWT weren't involved in that. So the films had to be standalone. They couldn't run off of a continuous storyline of plots. They couldn't use Luxton and District because they belonged to London Weekend. So it had to be set in a brand new premise, which was, and the films obviously it was town and district buses. So it allowed them to work on new storylines, which is why there's differences. Whereas in the TV series, Olive and Arthur actually divorce at the end of at the beginning of series 7. But whereas in the films they stayed together and they had a kid and all of that, they're not actually. The films are merely based on the characters in the TV series. It's in no way to be seen as a direct continuation of the storyline. So just think of it like that way, and is the easiest way to describe it. In no way was the TV series connected with the films. They just based the films just based the characters, took them from the film setting onto the TV setting into the films, but they couldn't carry on the storyline because it would have been encroaching on LWT's rights for the TV series. So that's why you've got your differences there. Hence why, as well, Reg left the TV series towards the end of series 7, but he's back in for the films and all of that because one was different from the other in terms of its storyline. Yeah, that's right, Anfield Views. As I said earlier, Jason, no, they never actually done an on the buses stage show as such. The nearest you probably got to it was on the buses a fresh start, but it wasn't all of the cast. That was Michael Robbins, Anna Karen, and Doris Hare. Done one in Canada, a stage show in the early 1980s. Where supposedly it was those 3 characters moving to live in Canada. But the whole cast never actually done a stage adaptation of On the Buses, no. Well, there are some Fox, as I say, but there are some that that are still kicking around, but the vast majority, sadly, as you would expect from something that was made 50 plus years ago, are sadly no longer with us. Yes, and of course from Wayne Westthorpe, when he had joined us at one of the events, he pointed out that, and on the buses, when you see the baby crying, which is Wayne Westthorpe, and you see 2 hands coming to take him out of the cot that he's in, that was actually his mum, not Anna. The arms that you see there, that was his mum, who was actually on the set there as well, which is an interesting little anecdote. No, there was no radio versions. That was a lot of your BBC sitcoms, of course, and that was an LWT sitcom, obviously, on the buses. They probably would have been on. Reg was the top earner, obviously. He was the star of the show, so he was at the top of the pyramid of the pay, basically, followed by Doris Hare, who was a very experienced actress. So she could carry a lot of financial sort of like demands for it, and not in terms of her demanding it, but obviously they'd feel they'd need to pay that. So you're talking about they'd probably be earning in terms of maybe around about £50 an episode. In terms of Reg, that would have been the top earner from that. Now, you may listen to that and say, oh, that's not all that much. But at the end of the day, you're talking about the 1970s here. And if you're thinking about how many episodes there was in a series, like, for example, the one that we're talking about, series 3, which had 13 episodes, that's £650 for 2 months to about 3 months' work, just over 3 months' work. Yeah, I don't really see that it would have really transferred to the stage at all, James, to be honest, for the simple fact you wouldn't, as you say rightly, you wouldn't have had the realism of the buses being on set that I could have seen, unless they had actually filmed it, actually staged it in our actual film studio stage. That's the only way that I think that they could have got it to work in that sense, but not. They obviously they couldn't have managed it at a bona fide like West End theatre or anything like that. Just wouldn't have really worked. And of course, by the time that you're talking about in the 1980s, again, that was around the time that Reg had the serious strokes as well. So it wasn't really in the best of health for doing that sort of thing. So that was probably another reason for it really not being a possibility. As for any of the buses used in the episodes, there is the one from On the Omnibuses, which does the rounds around transport museums up and down the country. That's definitely still around. The bus mainly driven by Stan in the films, not actually driven by him out in the roads. That was actually a professional driver that's done that, but you get my gist. That is still around, but that's reverted back to its original Eastern National Green, because it was an Eastern National bus. That is does the rounds and bus rallies up and down the country. There is one of the buses from the TV series, which was, I think it's somewhere down in France now, Lille or something like that. I think it could be. And there was another one as well, which is, I think I've rumored it was out somewhere that it got converted into something like a coffee shop or something like that out in California, Santa Fe or something like that. Can't remember, but I remember reading somewhere about that. It was one of the buses from the TV series. Oh yeah, definitely. The Doris was, benchmark mum. Obviously, on one of my groups, somebody made a really ridiculous statement saying that on the buses went down the hill once Doris Hare took over from Southsea Cottonage, which is total nonsense. I mean, Doris was originally meant to be the mum, but she wasn't available for the first series. But when they were casting for it, Reg, the two writers and the producer who were looking for the role of mum at the time, they went and seen Doris in a stage show, and straight away, Reg, as soon as he saw her on stage, he goes, "That's mum," and everyone agreed. So, but unfortunately, she wasn't available for the first series. That's why they had to bring in Cicely Courtney. She didn't really have the same TV experience working. She was mainly a film and stage actress, whereas Doris was well versed in TV. TV was a totally different animal from stage, where you needed to learn be able to learn the one script of the week, which Doris was well used to. Cicely wasn't, and she didn't really gel as well with the rest of the cast as well. Yeah, I still watch it now and again. I get my DVDs out and watch mainly the films and all that. Especially you have to if you're trying to dig out any more locations, try and find any more little clues to watch the episodes and such like. Not memorabilia as such, as just stuff like I've got in there, stuff that have actually been given to me. I've got my books, obviously. You don't really call that memorabilia. The stuff that was shown earlier on are from in here, from my On the Buses section in here, which is sort of like the free bits, like Ronnie Wolf's. I think I showed this earlier, so apologise. But if you haven't seen them earlier, there's that. And that was from Anna's funeral. And that was from Stephen's funeral, which I attended both of, and Ronnie's funeral I attended. Other bits and bobs that I've got that I've picked up over the time, some stuff that I've made myself or had made for me. Stuff like that as well. That was, I can't remember, I think I got that from eBay or something like that, which is really nice because it's been signed by Ronnie Wolf, Stuart Allen, and Ronnie Chesney. And these are just things that I've like 3D printed as well. So these are more like 3D printed stuff rather than sort of like memorabilia. So I don't think you really need to bother with them. So stuff like that I've got, but nothing in terms of where I went out and actively sought and bought stuff like that. Not sure if it was the one in France. It's a cafe. I thought it was the one that there was one in California as well, like Santa Fe or something like that. So it could be the one in France, or I know there's one of them that's still kicking around. But I think they are about the 4 buses that actually survive from on the buses. That's the one from on the omnibuses, which does routes around the transport museums, or the bus from the films, which is being preserved, and it does all the rounds around the on bus rallies and such like. And the 2 that are abroad, one in France, one in Santa Fe or something like that. Yeah, Anthony. Yeah, I just moved in here about a month ago. No, not even a month ago. It's probably about 2 weeks ago. I've been in here now. Got the keys about a month ago, but I needed to sort things out before I could actually move in. Power supply, broadband, and such like. So I stayed at my sister's. So, but I've been in here about 2 weeks now. So just keep your questions coming in. If you've got any more questions, post them up. I'll answer them as soon as I see them on the screen. There was something else I'll just show you just now. I don't know if I'll be able to find it or not, but if you bear with me a tick. Let's see. Just bear with me on a tick and I'll try and get you. Right, let's see just now. I'll see if I can show you on here because I can't really log in, but I'll show you another thing that I printed off, which will be part of a raffle that they're holding for the event next weekend, which has come out to look really, really good. I'll just find it for you just in a tick. Got it here on my phone, a photograph of it. Let's see. So there you go there. That's something that was 3D printed as well. That's Reg Varney there. As I say, stuff like that there, and the one like here of Jack, I hope to eventually be able to put up and sell them on here if anybody wants them. Maybe discount to your people that are patrons of the channel. Well, that's something I'd love to think about anyway, but that's something that we'll hope to incorporate in the next few months. Yeah, you're still Edinburgh, James. Now, no more updates on Pontins Prestatin. Still the same situation there, and doesn't really surprise me at all, really. You still get these nutters coming in saying, making up the nonsense that, oh, I've seen such and such people in Pontins and all that, and then illegal immigrants, which is total and absolute codswallop. They post things up like that on, I think it was when I was last there in, was it August? In August time. And it was basically empty. I'd been there and I went there with a friend who'd done a flyover of the campsite with his drone. And there was absolutely nobody there. It was absolutely deserted, but people still try and say it's swarming with illegal immigrants. Just total nonsense, really. But that's the sort of age we live in, really. But I don't really see anything happening on that Pontins front anyway. And the longer it goes on, Anthony, the less likely I think that it will be that they'll be able to sell it on. Well, at least it won't. If it gets sold on to another company is going to totally flatten the place. Because it's left to the elements with no real sort of like no work being done on the infrastructure of the buildings and all of that. It's just going to crumble over time. So sadly, whatever happens, it's never going to go back to how it was before. It'll either stay dormant as it is just now and stay as is, which at least it gives you a chance to go and look from the gates perspective and all of that at the camp as it was in the filming, which is something I suppose, or failing that somebody else in the coming months, years, but I can't see it myself, will buy the site and they'll flatten it and redevelop it. It will become another holiday camp with totally new buildings there. And that's sort of like the options that are in place there. That's in safekeeping, Anthony. That's with ourselves at the moment. And we're waiting for the opportunity to relocate it at another location. So all safe and well. I know somebody elsewhere on social media was claiming that the Welsh Green Heritage had it, but they haven't just now. It's then sort of like an interim position between Welsh Green Heritage passing it over to us to look after it, and then it will get hopefully restored a little bit and then put up in its new home, which we'll all be part of, which we will reveal to you where that is going to be and everything like that, but that will be a later date as well. But it's all safe and well. You don't need to worry about that. It was in a little bit of a bad shape. Obviously, it's been up there since about 20 years since it was put up. So it had suffered a little bit of water damage on the fittings of it and all of that. So it'll have to have a new sort of like back put onto it and such like. I suppose anyone that comes along to the event next week will be able to look at it and get a photograph with it if they want. Might have it down there, I don't know, right? But that's maybe an option for anyone who wants to come along. Yeah, no bothers, Anthony. So just keep your questions coming in. I'll answer them for you as soon as I see them on the screen. As I say as well, for people that are here that are also members in my the Facebook group, the On the Buses and Filming Locations now and then, I do hope to start going through doing a run through of the filming locations again, starting maybe sometime in November, maybe toward mid to late November. So keep your questions coming in. I'll answer them for you as soon as I see them on the screen. I will hope to as well through time as well. I'm hoping to get more of these. Like, as you know, on the channel, I've got a lot of the On the Buses Filming Locations series, which is series 1 through to 7. And I am hoping to eventually, like about a couple of months ago, I've done the Ultimate Edition 1. Plan is to get them all done into Ultimate. So what I mean by Ultimate is when I put the omnibus editions, that's what they're called. when I first started putting those videos out, obviously it was some time ago, maybe 3-4 years ago. But since they've actually been done, more film locations in that series have been found, so they're a little bit outdated, the original ones. So I am in midst of trying to get out the omnibus edition ones, which will be slightly longer, have slightly more film locations in them as well. So they are the actual go-to ones if you want to find out the film locations in each of the series. The event next week is in Boreham Wood. So that'll be walking tours and such like, raffle, all other kind of things going on. If you scroll up to the top of this chat box here, Anthony, there's an email address there. If you're interested in the right tickets, that's the person to, the very first message is the email address to send any queries to. It will be starting from outside Elstree Studios at 11:30. That's Elstree, the film studios, where they film Strictly and all such like now, not the BBC EastEnders Studios, which is another studio complex. So keep your questions coming in. I'll answer them for you as soon as I see them on the screen. Can be anything to do with on the buses. Just ask away any questions to do with the episodes, the film locations, the spin-off films. I don't know if I'll get the time to do it when I'm down there and next weekend, but I know that one of the locations that you see in the film, the first spin-off film, when you see the bus, the motorbike when they're heading to the hospital and it's coming along a country lane, that's filmed in Wash Lane, which is South Mims, which is just east of Boreham Wood. There was talk that that one portion there, which is with as the camera's looking at it and the motorbike's coming towards the camera and you've got the line of trees, the fields beyond that, they were I was being told that was going to be getting built on with our what was that, distribution site or something like that. I don't know if there's been any progress on that front or if the work has actually started. It'd be a shame if it does actually happen, but we'll see if I can find out any more when I'm down there over the weekend. Next weekend, that is. So any more questions at all? Post them up and I'll answer them for you. I'm happy to stay here as long as I'm getting the questions coming in. If they dry up like they have just now, I'll give it another 5 minutes. If it picks up, I'll hang around a little bit more, but just keep them coming in, your questions. Saves me rambling. So get your questions in. I'll answer them for you as soon as I see them on the screen. So any more questions? If not, I'll just call it a night just now. As I said, anyone as well, just to wrap up, I can always mention like next weekend about the event, the Last Goodbye event, which is like in Borehamwood. Be a couple of walking tours, one on this Saturday, one on this Sunday, which I'll be comparing. It's not been organised by myself. I have posted up the address, if anybody's the email address to contact about tickets. There's still tickets you can still buy. Which I'll save you scrolling back up. I'll get our, let's see. So that is HOTB 50th, so small case HOTB 50th 50th at hotmail.com. So that's the email address you want to send any requests for tickets to. Yeah, he was able to do that, Anthony, because of the fact that the bus wasn't owned by a phone company, but by a bus company at that time. Plus, as well, on top of that, there was no paying passengers aboard or any members of the public. So the fact it wasn't insured didn't really come into it then, because obviously the crew and the equipment, if there was the damage, that would all been on the hands of the film crew anyway for actually traveling. So there wouldn't have been any issues as such with any insurance claims or anything like that. So that's why in those instances you could, but on other instances when they had extras and such like on the bus and the TV series, especially when it wasn't when it was actually an Eastern National bus, or in the holiday on the buses when it was actually a Crossrail Motor Services bus, they wouldn't allow Reg to go out and drive it on the thingies because he wasn't insured, you see. So That's why a lot of most of the scenes that you see with a bus from a long distance away, we're doing a professional driver driving the bus and the scenes and all of that. Yeah, cheers for popping in, Ollie. Cheers, Anthony. I think I'm going to call it a night now. The questions seem to have dried up, but thanks for popping along, Anthony, and asking your questions. And thanks for when you always, I do note when you spread the word around that I'm on live, every little bit of advertising helps to get more people here and such like. So that's much appreciated as well, Anthony. Right, so say good night to you all. I'll be back again online soon, or watch out next weekend as well, because I will be doing live videos as well from around Boreham Wood, hopefully. You can look forward to seeing those as well. So I'll say goodbye for now, everyone, and thanks for popping in. Okay, goodbye, everyone.